Welcome, and follow me. I have the LENOVO Tab P12 Pro, and today I'll go over unboxing along with a quick overview of the device itself. So anyway, the box that it comes in is absolutely massive for I don't know what reason. Just as a comparison to a normal box of a phone, like for instance Samsung, you can see this thing has some like absolute size to it. So anyway, let's just pop it open and see what takes most of this space right here. Okay, so there we go. Now there's also this sticker right here, but we can easily lift it up. There we go. And the one right here. Okay, so there we go, it's now open. Sweet. Now let's see what we get inside. So you see we get the tablet. Gonna set it to the side. I don't have enough space for it right now. So there we go, that's basically all we get in the... Oh, no, never mind, there's a couple more things. You get a adapter for Type-C to headphone jack. And... oh, it's a pen tip. As you can see, a tiny little... you just take it out. Replacement, whoops, pen tip for the pen. I'm gonna drop it back in just so I don't lose it. So anyway, as you can see, we get a fairly decent amount of accessories, I guess. We get I believe a 30-watt charger, though I'm gonna make sure with the actual writing on it. So this is, yep, that is a 30-watt charger, which you can see right here. Let's be honest, you can't see this tiny text. So yeah, a 30-watt charger, USB-C to C cable. That's actually quite surprising, as you can see. A pen, and actually let's pop out the actual device out of foil. Just, there we go. Now, I'll be honest, usually Lenovo doesn't really strike me as a quality product, but this one actually feels nice. It actually resembles a lot of like Samsung tablets, primarily with its design. It's also quite big, and this is a 12.6-inch display, so it is quite massive, and it is running a AMOLED display, so that's splendid. It's also rocking a 120 Hz refresh rate, which is really nice, and HDR10 Plus, Adobe Vision, and typical brightness of 600 nits. So we're getting basically a really decent device here. Hello? See if it's charged. Nope, no notification. Oh no, there we go. So why isn't it working? Ah, there we go. So it looks like you need to initially place it on there so it connects, I guess, and from there we can actually use it. So I'm going to quickly go through the setup right here just so we can get a look at it. And one thing that I have to say that bugs me with the pens, although it might be just me, is how hard the tip is. It kind of, tapping on a glass doesn't really feel that great. Though, like I said, it might be me. And if you have some kind of maybe cover on it, one of those like paper imitating covers where it's a little bit more rough, it might be way better. But glass and tapping with like pen like this is not the best experience. Though it's not taking away from the fact that it is actually really responsive and it works really well. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna finish this up, and while I'm finishing it up, I'm gonna quickly finish up also the screen specifications, which I was started talking about. So we're looking at 87.4% screen to body ratio, and additionally 240 pixels per inch. Now we are only rocking a 1600 by 2560 pixel display, so this is not like a 1440p or 4K, and because of the sheer size of this display, the actual pixels per inch are a little bit on the lower side. Though personally, looking at it, I don't really see pixelations on here. It's still just a 12-inch display rocking a above 1080p display, so it's gonna be good enough for basically, I would think, everybody, unless you have like some telescopes for eyes. Anyway, right here we have a little notification regarding the pen itself. So we have option to access memo, we can handwrite, and we can also remote control some things. So I'm just gonna swipe up and go to our home screen. And I don't know if it's picking up on the display, but on the camera I mean, but the screen here looks actually really good. It's super vibrant. It's actually, I'm gonna brighten it up just so I can see how it looks like max brightness, though I warn you on the video, this will look like absolute garbage just because how the camera is set up. But yeah, it's good, though the brightness here isn't anything like mind-blowing, but it's still decent. The colors here are also really good. So there we go. Now let's move over to the rest of the specs of this phone, not phone but tablet. So we're looking at, what was it, I believe a triple camera setup. You find the power button. Nope, oh, there we go. So if we flip it over, you can see actually a dual camera setup right here. So our main sensor is a 13 megapixel wide sensor, and then we got a 5 megapixel ultra wide. Now, judging by the actual pixel size right here of this sensors, it's probably strictly for like Zoom calls and stuff like that, and nothing else. I don't expect anybody to go out with a 12.5-inch tablet outside taking photos thinking that they're professionals or something. And especially at 13 megapixels, those photos won't look that great. The majority of the phones, even at like mid-range, can most likely outperform this thing right here. So this is here strictly for like accessibility for, I don't know, video calls and so on. Now flipping over, we have another camera right here at the front, this tiny little hole punched camera, which basically like isn't even visible almost. This is an 8 megapixel wide sensor, and apparently we also have an 8 megapixel IR time of flight 3D sensor, which I guess we can kind of see it. There we go. You see this kind of like weird glimmer? I assume this might be it. Though it is not visible that much in a direct view. You can see the camera, but you can't see this time of flight. It's just a little bit of a darker spot on the bezel, and there's 3 of them. Though kind of see a couple of them maybe if I position it like at a really good angle. But yeah, anyway, let's move on to the specs of this device, internals. So we're looking at a Snapdragon 870. So this is going to be a really good processor right here. It's not anything top of the line, but honestly, for creative work like drawing and just using this tablet as a multimedia device, this will be adequate for a majority of the people. The only time it might struggle is probably in like high quality gaming. For instance, if you would run Genshin Impact on like max settings at this resolution, 60 frames or even more if you can, you might not be getting the expected performance from this or anything that, for instance, Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 could provide. So for everything else, I think this will work just sufficiently enough. It should breeze through almost any task you throw at it without any kind of problem. Now, additionally, we have a couple variants of this device. So we can get 128 gig storage or 256, and depending on which one you pick, you will also have more or less RAM. So 128 comes with 6 gigs of RAM and 256 comes with 8 gigs of RAM. Now, considering this device is already spec'd out fairly well, I probably would recommend you to go for the higher one with 8 gigs of RAM just to be safe for a later date. You won't have to worry about it later on when apps start utilizing even more RAM than they already do. So it might be just a little bit of a precaution kind of a thing to do. So later on, your apps don't need to like constantly relaunch. You can just have a little bit more headroom. And that's primarily what I recommend this for. If you don't mind some apps maybe in the future slowing down or just constantly needing to be reopened just because you don't have enough RAM, then by all means 6 gigs should work just fine as well. And in terms of storage, you don't need to worry about it that much, just because the device actually comes with the expandable storage. So we can pop in an SD card, if I can actually find where. I think right here. There we go. So as you can see, the version I have right here just takes an SD card, and I don't know if there is an LTE version, but judging by the actual like size of the tray, I would assume there might be an LTE version, just because all they would need to do is cut out another spot right here for the SIM card, and this is a perfect size for a SIM card. Okay, so anyway, I don't know if there's anything else that I can say about this device, apart from maybe just the price tag. So let's scroll down, and we're looking at about 520 euro price tag. And last thing that I'll also mention is the battery size right here. Now, I did say that we do have a decent charger. That's 30 watts, and the battery right here is at 10,200. So this is a absolute unit of a battery, and should last you a fairly decent time. Now, fairly decent doesn't mean that you're gonna break some timers in terms of how long the battery lasts, just because you have a stupendously big display right here. So obviously that needs some power to be running. But yeah, anyway, to finish this off, at the price that it comes at, which is actually surprisingly low, and for what you get, this is a really nice device. And honestly, before, you didn't have that many choices with a decent actual like tablet. So there was Samsung and maybe Apple. Those were probably the primary good devices, though Apple never came with a pen like this one. So you'd have to spend another $100 on a device that already costed like $600 or $700, another $100 for a pen, which seems a little bit idiotic. This one comes with a pen, so thank you. And yeah, honestly, this is the cheapest tablet at the moment that I have encountered so far. That is really good tablet. It meets basically all the like high quality demands that I would consider, like a high refresh rate, decent display, decent size, including a pen, and the device actually not running like crap. And it still comes at roughly 500 euros, which is a little bit mind-blowing. So honestly, if I would have to recommend any kind of tablet, this one is right at the top. If you don't mind having Lenovo, like I said, I would previously consider Lenovo to be not the best kind of quality product, but this one kind of breaks the tradition. It's probably one of the better devices that I encountered from Lenovo, and seems to work really well and have really decent specs. So I would recommend this tablet for anybody who's actually looking to pick up a decent device like this. So anyway, if you found this very helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.